And Jonathan, a reenactment of a satanic mass is scheduled to be held in the basement of this Harvard University building, and it has raised the question, is it education or a religious attack?
Well, here we are. Harvard University's Cultural Studies Club wants to invite you to spend a night with Satan. Tonight, they're holding a Black Mass reenactment, the Mass said to be an inversion of the traditional Catholic Mass that even uses a stolen consecrated piece of communion bread. This has the Catholic community in Boston very upset. So why would the university be okay with this happening right on their campus? Joining me now is Jim McGlone. He's a junior at Harvard University and began a petition to oppose the Satanic Mass that is set to be starting this evening. Jim, thanks for being with Fox and Friends. This upset you enough to start a petition. Why?
Well, I first heard about this mass that was going on earlier this week, saw a flyer on campus, and the more we learned about it, the more a group of students, myself, a couple other Catholics, Christians, non-Christians, thought that this was something people needed to know about, and we wanted to try to rally opposition to it because it's truly offensive and truly a mockery of the Christian faith and all people of faith.
How many signatures do you have in the petition to date?
There's a couple signatures floating around. I think the total number of signatures is around 50,000.
Wow. And then, the school says, look, they're not happy with it. They find this disturbing and offensive to those who live at the Harvard community. But, they really, paraphrasing here, they just want you guys to be able to do this in, a sensitive way. They want people to be sensitive to one another, but they haven't, been outright in terms of saying they don't want this taking place. And then the Harvard Extension Cultural Studies Club says this is just about history. It's not about religion. You say?
I think freedom of speech is what it is, but I think that has nothing to do with it in this case. In a university community, in that context, freedom of speech has a purpose, and that purpose is to get after the truth, to build a civil community, to build friendships across disagreements. This is more obscenity than speech, if anything. And if this were, a reenactment of a KKK rally or some sort of a desecration of the Quran, I think no one would have any trouble seeing that.
So you believe that this is an attack then on Catholics or Christians there. Do you want the school to step up and cancel it before it starts tonight, ideally?
Ideally, ideally the club that's hosting it would see sense and cancel it, but I would definitely support the university stepping in. Again, I don't think it's a question of freedom of expression. I think this is basically an obscenity that offends a huge segment of the community.
Do you think there'll be some sort of protest outside of where this is happening tonight in the basement of the building?
I don't know. I'll be in prayer with the Catholic community at the local Catholic church a few blocks away. That's where there's going to be a big gathering, and other parishes and churches all across Boston, greater Boston area, and even further away. We'll all be joined together in solidarity. Okay, so prayer over protest. Jim McGlone, we want to thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you so much for having me. Sure thing.
Harvard University is set to hold a satanic black mass in a couple of hours from now. The Harvard Extension Cultural Studies Club says it's all about education. The Archdiocese of Boston disagrees, saying, quote, the Catholic community in the Archdiocese of Boston expresses its deep sadness and strong opposition to the plan to stage a black mass on the campus of Harvard University in Cambridge. Father Jonathan Morris, Fox News contributor, and a whole lot more than that with me in studio. Good morning.
Thanks, Bill.
To you. What is a black mass?
It's a pagan ritual that's not only historically, they've existed for hundreds of years, but not only is it a satanical, demonic, pagan ritual, but it's also been traditionally an anti-Catholic activity.
Specifically anti-Catholic or anti-Christian also?
Well, both. Catholics or Christians, but specifically Catholic because they take the host that would be consecrated in a normal Mass.
Because they take the host that would be consecrated in a normal Mass.
And it's a mockery of the most sacred element which is the Eucharist.
It's a mockery of the most sacred element which is the Eucharist.
So they do this black mass, and they do it to honor Satan. And it's been going on for hundreds of years.
I think in this case what they're doing is provocating, and that's very different than free expression. Okay? In this case, they've advertised, they have signs for this black mass. This is not just down in some dungeon, in some black forest someplace, doing it quietly because these people are on the fringe. No, they're doing something in order to provoke. And anytime you absolutize a right, like, for example, the freedom of expression, you're going to get it wrong. In this case, they got it very wrong. And Harvard should be able to recognize that.
To this point, I guess they're doing it at a campus bar.
On campus.
On campus, that's right. So the Harvard Extension School says this: it does not endorse the views or activities of any independent student organization, but we do support the rights of our students and faculty to speak and assemble freely. Why would Harvard allow this?
Well, it's a great question, and here they're saying, "Oh, we don't agree with everything that every club does." I was in student government in college. Clubs have to get approved, and their activities count. And a university can pull the membership as a student organization from them. Harvard is being weak on this. What would they do if a Quran were being burnt as an expression of whatever? They would get in big trouble. They would never do it. And that doesn't mean, well, you know, therefore they shouldn't. No, but the fact is, respect is part of a civil society, and Harvard should be not only protecting that, but they should be teaching it to their students.
Well, apparently they're not, because it's going to go on as scheduled.
Well, you know what?
May 12th.
You know what the Christians are going to do? They're going to have, at the same time, not protests and angry fighting. They're going to have a prayer service at 8:00 p.m. in churches all over Boston and right there on campus.
Good to know. Thank you.
Response.
Thank you, Father. Jonathan Morris here.